All right, let's kick it off, bro. I'm gonna pass you the mic right away. It's hot right now. The mic's hot. Just
It's hot,
Just
all
go
right.
ahead and introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are, your name, what you do for a living.
My name's Amar Duhra. I'm the CEO of Northside Grow Co. We are a cannabis cultivation company in Canada, just based out of Northeast Calgary. We've been operational for about 3 years now. We licensed in 2021. We've been growing since then, and we've had some ups and downs, but now we're, finally selling some products out on the market here, getting some pretty good traction. And we are probably the only Indian-owned cannabis LP in all of Canada, all
Wow.
Indian-owned. So there's a couple micros that kind of support us, and we support them. But as a full standard cultivator, we are the only Indian-owned cultivator in Canada.
This is taboo for us to talk about, right?
Nothing's
Yeah,
taboo.
definitely.
Nothing's
No, I'm just
taboo
saying,
on
I'm
the
just
Brown
saying, no, I'm
Paulus
not saying
pod.
us, but like
Yeah.
in general, right? Like what you're doing, like, is it seen as like taboo or like off within the community or within your family and friends?
For sure, yeah. There's always taboo, especially starting off when cannabis was first legalized, maybe about 3-4 years ago. It was a little bit more stigmatized. Now there's a little bit more information on what it actually is,
Right.
but everybody looks at you like a drug dealer. Doesn't help that you have tattoos and dress like this.
Yeah, I'm
either.
gonna say, bro, you look out of Narcos.
Yeah,
I told you
yeah.
already. Like,
yeah, it doesn't help that, but
Yeah, the Uber driver we were in, what did she say? She was like, it's great to have dropped off some pro basketball players
Oh,
and
yeah,
drug
and
dealers.
drug dealers, yeah.
That was
I don't know what
crazy.
gave her that vibe.
she
but-
literally said that.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely changing for sure. Like
Okay.
there's a lot more education out there now. I feel like our generation is kind of changing the tone and everything towards
Mhm.
cannabis in our community. And actually, like a lot of older people are starting to try it in terms of medicinally, what they're doing with CBD products, even like
Interesting.
low dose THC stuff for pain tolerance and everything else like that, for MS, for other kind of autoimmune disease that they use it for. So it's becoming like more of like a pain management thing for older people for sure. I know a lot of people who are who go through surgeries and stuff like that, and now they use cannabis as a substitute for like opiates or whatever else
Right.
they're trying to prescribe these days. So that's kind of changing the conversation. Recreationally, obviously, like there's a stigma around it because everybody thinks like if you use cannabis, you're a no good stoner who just
Yeah, you're just a
fucking does
pothead,
nothing
yeah.
all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's actually not it. Like there's a lot of people in the industry who, are professionals, a lot of professionals who do use the products. I'd have to say though, in the industry, I'm the anomaly because most CEOs in this space are old white men in boardrooms making decisions about products they have no idea about. So it's kind of cool going to conferences and stuff and people look at you and if you understand the products and you understand the culture, it makes you a lot more relevant as a brand for sure.
I have a lot of questions. I'm sure you may have some as they come up as well.
Yeah.
I just want to rewind just a little bit. Obviously, you said 2021, I believe,
Yeah.
kind of when you really got into this. So what were you doing? I know you're a basketball coach as well,
Yeah.
but what were you doing before this? Because this is
Holy
a big change, right?
What are the transferable skills?
To be honest, before this, I was in new home construction for about 10 years. I still am. I developed about 150 homes over that time.
Wow. Okay.
And I was really busy with that. I have a couple other small businesses. I own a barbershop and we do.
You were in a barbershop?
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
what?
You don't think those clean fades every time on
Yo.
Zoom? You didn't notice those?
This mother.
Yeah.
Wait, where are the barbershops?
My barbershop's in Northeast Calgary. So everything's based out of the Northeast. That's kind of like where I
That's
grew up.
sick.
That's my
That's so
community.
dope.
That's where I coach. That's where me and Robbie have a lot of our community-based stuff that we do in Calgary out
Yeah.
of. So that's kind of our home base. The barbershop's probably 2 minutes from where Robbie actually grew up in his childhood home. So we still go there for fades. I see him there all the time. Every Friday we're there. I'm there twice a week
He always
getting
has
my
a fresh
haircut.
fade too. Now I know
Yeah.
why though. This all makes sense.
Why are fades like universal for brown dudes?
It's what we do.
Yeah. it
Why?
is.
It's all we know.
Yeah.
Why?
It's the culture, bro.
Yeah. You can't go more than 2
The
weeks
question I
without
have
a
for
fade.
you-
man.
You
Why
no,
don't you
don't
have
ask me
one?
why I don't have a fade.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you,
Come
you-
on, man.
I've had fades.
No,
Gee, I gotta say,
there's only
Ryan-
one picture of you with the fade.
Yeah.
It's
I
the
was gonna
NBA
say,
picture.
You had a
Yeah,
nice
that-
picture on
that was a
Brown
great
Ballers
picture,
the other
bro.
day. I was like, damn, you got a nice fade.
That's the NBA picture.
Everybody, never mind. This is your episode.
I don't tell
not
us,
my
bro.
fade episode.
Yeah.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah. No,
That's
sorry.
crazy.
Yeah. And then like from house building. I got into some stuff with my family. We constructed a hotel in 2019 as well, and we opened that. And yeah, it was a kind of weird time to open it as it was COVID. COVID hit, and we were kind of hooped in terms of we just opened the hotel, didn't have a lot of revenue coming in, and then everything shut down. Travel was shut down, but we got through that, and now like that's been working out quite well. And then I got tired of building houses. I got tired of the grind and dealing with the same people all the time. So I thought weed is legalizing. I think a lot of people at the time thought that it was going to be a gold mine. It's not. It wasn't to start with. Now it's kind of stabilizing, and you know the market's kind of shifting towards companies like ours, which are small batch craft producers who focus on quality products and like innovative products in the market. I know a lot of the bigger companies are kind of struggling just because they mass produce weed that nobody buys. So we are right in a good niche right now in terms of what we do and what we provide for the market.
Can you explain the company in layman's terms?
In layman's terms, basically we have a giant warehouse where we grow fireweed, and we have innovative products, and we just brought on a technology company in-house, and we have patented technology for our pre-rolls, our blunts, our cannagars, which we're starting to release like up to 5 grams. We're allowed to do legally. We did one for the Brown Ballers Ambassador DJ Intense. It was a half ounce cannagar of our Punjabi Kush. And we kind of put, it's like a little bit of a showpiece for him. That thing would burn for like 6 hours, but so we do a lot of innovative stuff with the technology that we have. We're currently the only ones who carry it in the market. We just released it. It's getting a lot of great reviews. We're getting a lot more products listed now because of that. So I think in terms of what we do in layman's terms is we grow good weed and we try to get it out into people's hands in the best way possible.
The technology side, I don't know if you're allowed to explain that or if it's like patented, but like, what does that mean?
So basically, the company that we're partnered with is called The Rolling Room, and they've been kind of working for the last 3 years in the background, trying to develop a technology that eliminates all deficiencies in pre-rolls. So pre-rolls are a market that are like cheap. They're usually for people who just want the convenience of going to the store. They don't want to grind their own flour and roll their own joints. It's just like, and it's usually not whole flour. It's usually shake, trim, whatever, and shitty little cones, and it's not a good burn. So what they did was they're like, we want to eliminate all of that. So they created a technology that kind of basically burns in the best way. Like what we have is a center channel that cools smoke before it actually hits your throat. So there's no coughing involved. It's a slow burn technology. So we have a 0.7 gram blunt. Most 1 gram blunts burn for about 10 minutes. Ours burn for about 17. So it's like you get the full actual consumable amount of cannabis in the pre-rolls. So medically, it's actually the best way to ingest it, because if you're prescribed 0.5 grams of cannabis or a gram of cannabis, whatever it is, you'll get the exact amount, because it'll actually only burn the cannabis at the rate that you're smoking it, not just burn off while you're not taking hits. So it's pretty crazy technology.
Does anybody else feel like they're in a like weed 101
I'm learning a lot. Yeah,
this is incredible, bro.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I would love to light one up right now if we had it. I feel like we should have been doing that. I know we can't on camera, but like that's crazy.
Yeah, trust me. I wanted to bring some across the border, but Robbie told me it wasn't a good idea.
No. You would have been in Calgary still.
Not the best thing to prepare for a training camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about something now. Look, a lot of people watching this, even me, I don't know that much about some of the stuff you're saying, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What is a good burn? Like, I get it. Like, it's lasting longer, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But what actually makes a good burn, and like, how are you get?
So like we retain the taste and all the flour and the terpenes, which is like, the terpenes is what actually causes the flour to taste a certain way, or flavors that you get inside. It's actually, terpenes are in every single plant. So in the cannabis plant, it actually transfers, like, say if you have a strain that's more fruity or floral or whatever it is, you'll get that actual taste when you smoke it. If it's gassy or skunky or whatever, you will get that taste as well. So it's almost like you're smoking, you're feeling the full effects of the strain and how it's actually supposed to be ingested. A lot of the times with pre-rolls and like shake flour, like you get really bad burn and bad quality in there, and it's like harsh on your throat. Like by the time you're coughing the entire time you're smoking it, so it's a really like user friendly way for people to smoke weed.
My mind's like being blown right now.
Yeah,
That's incredible. You talked about strains just now.
yeah.
Floral, skunky, like all different types. Like, how are you developing that? Or you're growing, right?
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
how are you developing all these different strains?
So when we got into our facility in Canada, you're allowed a time transfer. So we had brought in over 120 different genetics when we actually got our license
From where?
from mostly the black market and other places, like people that we knew. It's basically
Wait. One interruption.
yeah.
So you're running a business,
Yeah.
and one of the sources for supply is the black market. How do you like as an entrepreneur, right? Like how do you like handle that? Because that's tough. Like it's not easy. Like nothing's guaranteed, right? Or what?
In terms of, you know what? Okay, so what I mean, the black market is like the legacy market is what they call it in cannabis. So I think the government recognizes that it's such a new industry that they wanted to bring new products, new strains, new cultivars to the market. So you get a one-time chance to basically do something illegal, and then after that,
Interesting. Oh yeah. So you can start cultivating.
so you can start
Yeah,
cultivating
I
it.
get it.
So
I get it. Yeah.
so you're
Yeah.
allowed to bring in what they call mother plants, which are like plants that you
Right.
can take cuttings from every single time and continuously produce that strain, or seeds. But in terms of seeds, like takes a long time. You'd pop like a pack of seeds, and you might get one or two plants out of there that you could actually use for the future. And it's like a long process for that. So most people bring in mother plants, which is like ready to go. You can take cuttings off them right away, clone them, build them up into teens, and then flip them right into flour. So that's kind of what we did.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's honestly like you take the illegal part of it and you turn it into legal drug dealing, pretty much is what it is.
So when you brought those 120, 121 over, are you just like guessing? Or like how does it like how are you picking 120, different mother plants, I guess, to bring over?
We targeted things that were unique to the market at the time and that were different. And kind of we had a lot of legacy strains as well, because that's some people still like old school strains like Northern Lights or Blue Dream or like OG Kush and that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of
I've
that.
heard those names.
That's why I looked at you, because I was like, this is new territory for us. I'm like, you know that, right? I know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so we did a lot of that as well. But like our focus was like, okay, now if you know the market, it's driven by THC percentage these days. Like nobody looks at terpene percentage as much or like the quality. It's like, how can I get the highest amount of THC for the lowest price right now?
Can you explain THC? Sorry.
So
Yeah.
THC percentage is basically the higher the percentage, the stronger the high will be. In
Okay.
what it is, that's what people think, right? So it's the amount of actual THC cannabinoid inside of the plant. But there's also other cannabinoids like CBN, which is like more helpful with sleep, CBG, which is like more of an energy boosting cannabinoid, and now there's a couple other ones like CBC. Obviously, everybody knows CBD because it is like a more medical
Right.
type of plant. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that go into actual cannabis. And I think that a lot of the consumers aren't really privy to that kind of information. Like if you're a casual user, you probably don't go and ask like, what's the CBN percentage or CBG percentage in this, unless you've tried it and you like the feeling, and you'll continue to go back to something like that. But yeah, like in terms of THC, that's just like the one thing on your packaging. It'll be like, okay, I have a strain that's right now like kind of the high mark is about 30%. Like the highest on the market right now is anywhere from 35 to 37%, which is
Does that
probably
mean you get fucked up if you have it?
you will, but you know what? There's a lot of like inconsistencies because lab testing is kind of shady in Canada right now. So if you send it to certain labs, you'll get higher testing back. So
Interesting. Okay.
it's kind of known that hey, if you send it to one or two labs, like and you have a 35% strain, it's more likely a 27% strain. But they just kind of help you out and boost your THC.
What's the average
percentage.
strain? Like THC level in a
Average is probably around 25, like anywhere between 23 to 25. Like now anything sub 20 is looked at as not uh you can't really sell it in the market because people don't want it. Just because like people consumers a lot of the time, unless you're a cannabis connoisseur and you understand the rest of the plant, people just go in and be like, okay, I just want to get fucked up. what is the highest THC percentage I can get for this price, and that's usually what they go with. But
That's crazy.
yeah, because
So,
so sorry, I'm actually on the retail side too, so I own 2 retail stores, so I see both sides of it. So when the
okay.
consumers come
Yeah.
in, like I get some good feedback of what the consumer market actually wants, and like usually it is the first question they ask is the THC percentage. So that's really what drives the industry right now. But again, we are trying to change that with bringing different kind of products on the market, so people will try them, hopefully get them into their hands, and kind of change the perception of what cannabis and how it should be consumed.
So like when you're selling a product to someone who's new to the game,
Yeah.
like what are the net benefits that you're saying in your marketing materials? Because it's not about THC count or percentages. That doesn't mean anything to somebody. So
Yeah.
what are they getting when they buy and consume the product?
So they're getting a product like we are true craft, like small batch indoor grown. Each plant is taken care of by hand. Like our grow rooms only house about 320 plants, where most big greenhouses have thousands and thousands of plants in it. So each plant gets like individual care. We built like a state of the art facility where we control temperature and humidity, like temperature to a half degree, humidity to around 2%. So not a lot of facilities can actually do that. So that really improves the quality of the cannabis because you're allowed to have a consistent environment for the plant to grow. And which isn't where, like in greenhouses, as you know, it's like some places are hot, some places are cold. You can't get that consistency in the airflow in there, and it actually causes like a worse quality product. So with us, like you're getting quality in terms of the flower, our innovation as well. It's kind of a little bit of both. So we basically what we do is we have quality flower put in a technology that makes it the best experience for the consumer to actually consume it. So that's kind of what we offer to people.
You just talked about like basically, I'm assuming the plants are just sensitive.
Yeah.
So like what's like the ideal temperature? Like temperature and humidity, like how does that affect them? Like
Uh,
what's it supposed to be at basically?
so basically, like it depends on every strain is different. So like it's hard to say. Yeah, we have a kind of set point for where we go with different strains. So like if we're and it also depends on where it is in the growth cycle. So if we're in veg, it'll be different. If we're in flower, it'll be different. When we're drying the plant, it's different. So like it's a complete science.
Right.
Right. And we have master growers and other growers who work in our facility who take care of all this stuff. Everything's, we have automation taking statistics on like when it's at this percentage, how the plant grew at this time, so we know like what we're kind of for the next cycle, what to hold it at. So everything's kind of documented, and I don't want to go into the other side, like the regulatory side of things, because that's very stringent in Canada right now. It's kind of holding back a lot of growers from being successful. But in terms of the way that we've kind of designed what we do is like we want to have a consistent product all the time. We want our consumers to open our bags or try our joints and be like, okay, this was as good as last time, if not better.
Right.
Right. So that's a big thing consistency is a big issue in the market right now for sure.
Um I got a bunch more questions.
Sure.
So hopefully you're fine with this.
Yeah.
Before I go into the business side, obviously like you kind of just mentioned this, like growing up or even just now, like everyone's like, yo, weed's bad for you, like it does this to your brain or whatever. All these like negative things, right?
Yeah.
Now I might be asking the wrong person because like you're like in this space.
Yeah.
But I'm actually just curious, like if you're just a normal person, you're consuming weed, like what is actually is it actually negative basically? Or is it
That's a
depend how
loaded
much you
question.
consume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could be a negative thing. Obviously, like if you're a person who smokes too much and it causes you to be unproductive,
Yeah.
I find
I've seen that.
yeah, you see that. And but to be honest, it's like people say this all the time, but moderation is key, right? Like in terms of what you want to do. But I know some people who can't function without it because they're whatever pain they're in, like
Right.
physically, mentally, whatever it is, it kind of just eases. I know a lot of people who have anxiety and it kind of changed their life because it kind of takes them out of their own headspace, gives them a little bit of a calming effect, and helps them on with their day, right? So it is something that is it's technically, I know a lot of people look at it because it was looked on when we were growing up as like illegal,
Just
obviously,
bad.
and bad.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be doing. Our parents say don't do drugs, don't
My
smoke
mom
weed.
still says that.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Don't
Like
do
and
weed. It's legal though.
yeah. My parents still say the same
Yeah.
shit. Like it doesn't really it hasn't changed as much as I wanted, but like people look at I know in our culture, obviously, like alcohol is a big thing, and people are very open, and it's like almost like everybody in our culture, it's almost a masculine thing to drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in the Indian culture with Indian men. I myself don't drink. I have never drank in my life, and people looked at me like,
Wow.
you like, you're weird because you don't drink. Like, be a man and like, have a shot with me
Has
or have a
nothing to do
glass
with
with me.
yeah.
And like, I think in our culture,
Doesn't
like
make
that's
sense.
seen as like something normal, and I think that leads to even further problems than cannabis does, obviously. But I think that's another conversation for a different day. But I think it's almost like it's not on level playing fields, because one thing is okay, but one thing that isn't as harmful isn't, right? I
Right.
think it's just the
Yeah, it makes
education
sense.
isn't there enough for the older generation to understand that yet. But again, like, I think that it's starting to change now with people our age and younger,
Yeah.
kind of changing, moving the needle on that kind of side.
So what do you think has been the most important force in the last few years in like mass legalization? Because like I feel like it's referenced in music all the time. Celebrities talk about it all the time, very public usage.
Yeah.
Things are moving pretty quick though in terms of legalization. Like why now and why is it happening?
I think now people are starting to see that I know the government's looking at it as, okay, the black market is thriving. How do we make money off of this? That's one of the
Of
biggest parts.
course.
Yeah,
Right.
biggest problems. And they tax the hell out of it in Canada, and they make a lot of money off of it. But the other thing is, I think there's a lot more studies, tests, and research going into cannabis and how it is helpful. And there's been studies on other places where it's been legal for a long time, such as the Netherlands or anywhere else. The markets in the states, like Colorado, Oregon, California, and that kind of stuff. And I think that kind of changed the perception around it, and to legalize it, like, it's not perfect in Canada right now. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed regulatory wise to actually make it a bigger thriving business. But again, like, it's opening up internationally quite a bit. Canada is probably the number one producer of cannabis to export in the world right now.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
wow.
like, Germany is a huge market for Canada. Israel is a huge market for Canada. Australia is a huge market for Canada right now.
Wow.
So a lot of producers in Canada, actually, who are tired of the regulatory concerns in Canada, are actually just exporting all their weed to Europe right now and making probably more money just doing that. And that's an interesting thing for our market, obviously, in Canada. Because a lot of brands you're seeing are getting out of the Canadian market and going overseas right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to dive a little bit into the business side.
Yeah,
I don't know how much you're allowed to say. And I've never talked to anyone who's owned a company like
for
this.
sure.
Layman's terms.
Yeah.
You got I got a plant. I got a plan right here.
Yeah.
Well, how do I monetize this plan? Like, I don't understand how it works. Like,
Yeah.
if I take this plan, like, what's my cost? What's the
Yeah.
profit? Is it being split into like 100 joints?
Yeah.
If you could answer that question like with Nav's plant
Yeah,
here,
please.
I mean,
Yeah,
that'd be
so now
preferred.
you take this
Yeah.
thing right here, right? You build it up, you take it from flower, you get it to a finished product, however that is. Like, if you want to make it into dried flower to put in a bag, you put it there. If you want to turn it into a blunt, a joint, a pre-roll, if you want to turn it into a topical, an edible, a beverage, whatever your end product is, right? You package your product, and then you go to a government agency. Like, for example, in Alberta, where I'm from, I have to pitch my products to the government board. And they, based on what they think of my product, they'll give me either approval of it, or they'll say, you know what, like, there's too much of this on the market. We're not going to take it right now. And every province where we are is different, and there's a different regulatory board for each. We're lucky enough that we have products that we're 11 products in Alberta now. We got 2 in Ontario, and some releasing in BC, and then another 5 in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, which are smaller markets. But basically, you offer them to those government boards, and those government boards open a retail portal for all retailers, and the retailers will directly order it from the government. So our responsibility is to fulfill orders to the government, and then a
Right. Did
retailer will
they?
purchase from them.
Got it.
So in terms of monetary, it's the startup costs are quite high. That's why I think the entry point to get into actual cultivation is a little bit tougher. There's a lot of people who get into retail because it doesn't take as much upfront capital. Again, like with the regulatory stuff, it's like you have to build out your entire facility before you even know you're going to get licensed. So you have
Oh, that's
to,
crazy.
yeah, it's, and like a lot of people were building like these millions of dollars worth of facilities and they weren't getting approvals. So then they turned into like vegetable farms or whatever they're doing afterwards, you know? And I think that's really what kept a lot of people out. But to monetize it, it's you have to be now in this in the environment that is right now because it's quite volatile. You have to have either really good quality or great brand or different products, innovative products that aren't on the market right now. Otherwise, it's really hard to differentiate yourself from
Of
anybody
course.
else, right? And like the price of weed from when it legalized wholesale was about $8 a gram. Now it's dropped all the way down to $2 a gram wholesale. So like that's quite a big dip in terms of what people were expecting during legalization. But now we're seeing a little bit of a bounce back, just because there is now becoming. What happened was when it legalized, there's no weed. Then there's too much weed. And now a
Right.
lot of people are shipping overseas. So we're getting back to the point where there's not enough weed. So the prices are going back up. So with producers, like they're seeing a nice little uptake in revenue and stuff, and just like more avenues to make money with the government being able to approve new products. So at first it was only dried flower and joints. Now it's the a 2.0 act was enacted, and basically you're allowed beverages, edibles, topicals, and ingestibles, like a lot of different stuff like that. And then there's still some stuff on the market that's not out yet that they're trying to get out. So I think that'll be a little bit further along down the road. But yeah, there's a lot of way to actually monetize the plant. And like for example, like we're working on a product right now of desi edibles. So we're doing
Yeah,
like
you told me
desi,
this and I was excited about this.
yeah, desi
Yeah.
sweets as edibles and infusing them with cannabis. And that's
Fire idea.
Like
Yeah.
like a burfie.
Barfi. Yeah. So that's
Could you
our first
imagine that?
product. Yeah.
Imagine eating that.
Yeah.
I feel like it would taste better.
It'd probably be so good. Yeah.
Oh,
You'd
by
be
the
high
second or
after.
third one, it'd be
Yeah.
tasting real good. Yeah. Whatever you ate with it would be tasting amazing. But yeah.
Can you reveal like okay, so the burfi example is one. Like what
That's
else?
one.
Can you
We got a
reveal?
couple other crazy things in the work right now that I can't really talk about.
Ah.
But we actually are like, we're proud of being an Indian-owned LP. We make it quite known
should.
with our strains. Like right now, we got a Punjabi Kush that's out on the market that's really hitting. We have another product called Desi that's coming out. That's actually a strain from Punjab. The plant is actually
Sick.
brought from Punjab
Wow.
into Canada. So that will be pretty cool to have that, you know,
That's
from something from
amazing.
our heritage and from our
really sick.
homeland
Yeah.
coming into Canada and being in the legal market here. I think it's just showcasing like, because India does have a long standing history with cannabis and the cannabis plant, you know,
Yep,
and that's something that's not talked about enough. It's on the spiritual side, and with certain religions and certain groups, it's actually a huge part of their culture in India, and that's something that doesn't get discussed enough, I guess.
Right.
I think a lot of people only talk about the negative side of things, but not talking about the cannabis culture in India, because it was quite huge at one point. So now we're trying to bring some of that history, some of that culture over to Canada, because we do have a large Indian population in Canada.
Absolutely.
We are and we do have a large Indian population that consumes cannabis. So we want to be able to bring our products, our heritage, our culture into the market and showcase it.
I'm actually gonna direct this question to our lawyer over there. Like, can we get like a brown baller strain? Is that like a real? Is that like a real
Yeah,
thing?
no, we can.
Is
We
that
can.
like allowed? Are we approved for that?
Yeah.
It's just like, I
Let's
just feel like
put
that'd be really
put it in the
dope.
to-do list.
Yeah, just,
Yeah,
we need to go to the
put
to-do
it-
list. I feel like I can honestly ask you so many more questions, bro. But I feel like maybe it's better for a part 2 of the business side.
For sure.
My mind's like racing because like I feel like you gave us like a 101 on, like a basic 101 on like
Yep.
some weed stuff, and there's so much more.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any other.
No, this is just
Detailed.
this is a series now. This is part 1.
Part
Yo,
one,
honestly, bro, like I
alright.
think we
This
should like
a-
make it a series and then come back and let's just like keep teaching us, and like by the 4th episode, we'll be fucking lighting it up, and we'll just be
Yeah. We're
like
gonna
everybody Hong, like Sophia, like we'll all just be like lit.
We'll turn brown ballers into all the smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the comp.
there you go.
That's the comp.
That's fire.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I appreciate you. Just let everyone know where they could check you out in Calgary one more time, or the handles, or the website, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Where do we find you?
You find us right now. You can find us in Alberta in a handful of retail stores. Actually, in our retail store, which is called All the Smoke. Wait,
it is?
Yeah, it actually is.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is. Yeah, it's called All the Smoke. You can find us. We're gonna be. We're in Alberta, Ontario, BC. We're gonna be all over the place. So come check out our products. Our Instagram handle is Northside Growco. So check out our products online and on our website, northsidegrowco.ca.
You're an inspiration, bro. This was one of
Yeah,
my
thank
fun.
you.
This was one of the
This
funnest
is one of the
episodes to
funnest
do.
ones for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. We appreciate you. This is the Brown Ballers podcast. G, send us out of here.
Yo, if you aren't on it already, sounds like it's about time to be. Until then, be easy.
Thanks, guys.